Hello, my name's Debbie Wagoner. I am the Deputy Director of the Small and Medium Business Group at Widget, which includes the Unanet practice. Today we're going to be talking about how to write job cost reports, how to change job cost reports to suit your needs. So we're going to start off with taking a look at existing job cost reports. So under Admin Setup, Accounting Cost Reports. These are all the job cost reports that I currently have in my system. We can take a look at an existing report, and these are all the fields. So I've got billable, client site labor, direct labor, subcontractor labor, and then my ODCs and revenue. I can easily change these reports. Maybe I want to see revenue at the top of my report. So all I have to do is click on the arrow, say I want to move it to the top. And now when I run a JSR, my revenue will be at the top instead of down towards the bottom. So those are really easy things that you can do. You can move fields around. You can delete fields. Maybe you don't care about unmapped cost or the profit percentage, so you could use the trash can to delete those lines off of your report. The formulas are very important because this is where we tell the system which cost elements we're going to use and what kind of math we're going to use with those cost elements. So in this particular one, billable intercompany labor, we're using labor company site plus labor client site. Down here where we're calculating profit percentage, we've got the total revenue minus total project cost divided by total revenue. So you can change formulas, you can add formulas. It just really depends upon what you want to see on your report. And keep in mind that a lot of, or all of the job cost reports will ask you which cost report you want to use. So if we look at our standard JSR and we scroll down a little bit, here's the list. So we can run this JSR report with any information or any of the new reports that we have set up or ones that have already been created. So you'll remember that I moved revenue to the top. So now we can see that that revenue is at the top of the report instead of down here where it used to be. So it does change any of your cost reports that ask you for a format or a cost report name. So what I'm going to show you now is we're going to write a couple easy reports, and then we're going to write a more difficult report. So if we go back to our admin setup and go back to our cost reports, let's say that our program managers have asked us for a revenue report that shows how we got from the gross revenue to the net revenue. So I can do plus cost report. I'm going to give it a name. Let's just say net revenue. I can give it a description. How we got from gross revenue to net revenue. Then we're going to go to our report elements. So I'm going to add an element. And the first thing that we want is our gross revenue. So when I come over here to my list, I'm going to scroll down and look for my revenue items, which are down here at the bottom. So I can do cost plus revenue, fixed price revenue, T&M labor gross revenue, T&M ODC gross revenue. So probably what we want to do is we want to include all of our project types. So we're going to do cost plus gross revenue. We're going to insert that, do a plus, go back down here, get our fixed price gross revenue, insert that, do a plus, T&M labor gross revenue, insert plus, and pick up our T&M ODC gross revenue. And then we're going to save that. So we have our gross revenue computation. So the next thing what we want is we want to pick up the items that subtract from revenue. So the first thing is our fee cap adjustment. So again, if we go down to the bottom of the list, here's our fee cap adjustments. So we're just going to insert that and save it. The next thing is we want our funding cap adjustments. And again, we'll go down to the bottom, grab our funding cap adjustments and insert. Now I can do add next if I'm adding additional rows to my report. And so the next one we want is our revenue write-offs. So we'll scroll down to the bottom, get our write-offs, insert it, add next. The last thing that we want is our net revenue. So I could do a formula that takes all my gross and subtracts out, oh, I left out additional items. Let's add those in there while we're doing this. Additional items. So let's insert that. So for my net revenue, I could take all my gross and subtract out my fee cap, my funding cap, my write-offs, and my additional items. But we do already have a total net revenue. So we can use that instead. So if I save that, let's go take a look at a JSR report. And I'm going to pick a project. And we're going to select our new report for, where is it? Net revenue. We want to see actual rates, and maybe we want to see it for previous year. I can include posted data only, and then we'll run the report. Oh, and of course I picked a job that, let's do all. So in this case, I have $503 in write-offs. So here's my net revenue number. I've got additional items of 100,000, so that was added in to our net revenue. I've got 200,000 here. So our revenue numbers are pretty clean. I've got 197,000 there. But you can see that this quickly gives us a report that gives the program manager the breakdown of how we got to their net revenue. So now let's build another report. So we're going to go back to admin setup cost reports, add a cost report, and this one's going to be a top level or a summary. Let's just call it summary JSR. And we'll just say it's top level. So if we go to our report element, so the first thing that we want is our total revenue. So again, we can select that. We'll do total net revenue and insert that. And then we're just going to take the total of our costs. So let's just say total labor. And you've got a lot of choices. You can do billed labor, you can do non-billable labor, you can do unmapped labor, cost labor. So what we want is, we want all labor. So let's select cost labor. And then we want our ODCs, so total ODCs. So again, we're going to go down into that total section and pick our ODCs. Well, now we need our total indirects, since that's part of our cost. And again, we go down to our totals. And let's find our total indirects. So let's give ourselves another total project cost. So all of these totals already have the math built in. So we're just going to use total cost. And let's say that we want to know our profit from these jobs. So we're going to take our total net revenue minus our total cost. We're going to add that. And, oh, forgot to insert it. That's a common mistake when you're working with these. So total cost, total mapped cost, insert. And you'll see that it didn't put it in after my minus sign, so I'm going to have to take out the one that was there. Oh, and you'll see that my formula is backwards because we want total revenue minus total map cost. So we're going to paste that, do our minus. I've got my bracket in the wrong place. Bracket minus total map cost. And I got to get rid of this minus over here. Then we want total profit percentage. So in this one, we're going to take the field that we just created. Let's see, where is it? Total profit. No, I'm not seeing it, so we'll just create it. So we're going to take our total revenue, insert that, minus our total cost, insert that, and we're going to put brackets around it. And we're going to divide that by total revenue. There, divide by our total revenue. Okay, so I got to move this. Good. Mapped cost divided by, oh, so I got to put let's undo. Oh, goodness. Let me start over. Mess that up. So we're going to take our total net revenue, insert that, minus our total cost, and we're going to insert that, But then we got to turn these around. Cut, paste, minus, get rid of this minus sign over here. I'm going to put our parentheses in. Divided by our net revenue. So we have revenue minus total net cost divided by revenue. So I'm going to add that. And maybe just for good measure, we want to see total hours on this report as well. So again, we're going to come down here to our totals and we're going to find hours. Let's see, where are my hours? Total revenue, total labor, total indirect profit. Hours. Billable hours. Total net hours. Hours. Total net labor cost. Total net labor hours. So we're going to save that. So now we can go back and take a look at our JSR. And again, we want to pick which report that we just wrote. So our project profit. I'm going to run this for last year, previous year. And I'm going to include posted data only. So this gives me my revenue, my direct labor, my indirect costs. I think I picked the wrong cost report. Let's see, detailed JSR, summary JSR, that's what I'm looking for. Sorry about that. So this just gives us our revenue, our labor, our ODCs, our indirects, total project cost, what our profit is, our profit percentage. And we can change how that profit percentage looks, and then our total hours. So if we go back to our cost report and we go to our summary JSR, I can go here and change this to percent instead of a number. So it'll show us a percent. So we'll go back and take a look at that. Our summary JSR, previous year, actuals, posted data, run the report, and here's our percent. So that was fairly easy. So let's build a harder report. Let's build apologize for the delay. We go back to our cost reports and do a detailed JSR. So for our detailed JSR, we want billable labor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out the rows on the report first, and then, oh, I guess it won't let me. Never mind. So billable labor. So we want client site labor plus billable company site labor. Then we want billable sub labor. So billable subcontractor labor. Then I want billable unmapped labor. So the next field we want is non-billable labor. So we're going to go down here to our non-billable sublabor. And we're going to add that. And then we want our non-billable labor. So we want our non-billable client side and non-billable company site. Then we want our non-billable unmapped labor. So you can come down here to our unmapped section, our non-billable section. So now we're going to start on our ODCs. So we want our billable ODC costs. And let's do our total. And then we want our billable unmapped. Then we want our indirects. Let's do our total indirects. Total indirect costs. And then we want our total non-billable indirect. Now for our non-billable indirects, let's go down here. Here we go. We're going to have to do them separately. So we're going to do our fringe, insert that, plus fringe company site, insert that, our G&A, and our overheads. We might want our total billable hours. So we'll go down to the hours section, and we want our client site plus our company site plus our subcontractor hours. And then we want our unbillable hours. So again, we'll go down to our hours section, go to non-billable. Let's see. Hours non-billable, here we go. So our labor, client site, our labor company site, and our subcontractor. And then let's add our revenue. Plus revenue. Then we'll do our fixed price revenue. And then we'll do our T&M revenue. T&M. So for our T&M revenue, we want to make sure and grab both our labor revenue and our ODC revenue. And we want our additional item. So let's save this and let's go take a look at our reports and see what it looks like. So if we go to our JSR, we're going to do our detailed JSR, actual rates, previous year, include our posted data only, and let's see what it looks like. So we've got our labor, we've got our ODCs, got our indirects. Now this looks pretty much like a standard JSR. So let me go back and select the other one and see if that looks different. So it does. So here we've got our billable labor, billable sublabor, billable unmapped, non-billable sublabor. So this is the one that we just built. So it looks considerably different than our standard JSR, but it just kind of rolls up those subcategories into their own buckets, kind of makes it a little bit easier to read. Maybe the program managers don't want all of that noise on their report, but you can see that you can build these reports to look any way that you want to. The most important thing with building these reports is you want to make sure that your math is right and that you've selected like items. So as an example, if I go back to my cost report, and we'll just go in and take a look at our detailed JSR, I'm using billable labor, billable sublabor, billable unmapped. What I don't want to do is I don't want to come in here and say, okay, well, I want billable labor here, but for sublabor, maybe I want cost. So if we look here, I've got billable labor, I've got non-billable, and then I've got cost billable and cost non-billable. In the example of labor, this might create a problem. Your billable labor for your T&M you want to make sure that you pick like items. So if you're going to do a cost report, you want to make sure that you pick the cost elements. And if you're going to do a bill dollars report, that you pick the bill dollars, because it will make a big difference. Also, you'll notice that we have just cost. We don't have cost billable, cost non-billable. This is just going to give you your cost. It doesn't matter if it's billable. It doesn't matter if it's not billable. It's just going to give you your cost. And that's going to be dependent upon how you have your cost elements set up. So if we look at our cost elements, we don't have separate cost elements for billable and non-billable. You can set them up, you could certainly have a non-billable client site labor, non-billable company site labor. And then those cost elements would also appear in just the cost section. But if you don't have it set up that way, then you can tell the system, okay, hopefully you've got a non-billable labor account versus a billable labor account. So you can just tell it which account, it is by picking either non-billable or billable. So it really depends upon how your cost elements are set up. So I hope you take away some valuable tips and tricks from this webinar, and we look forward to seeing you in a future webinar. Thank you very much.